everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and tonight we're about to watch Loki episode 3. And so just to kind of recap a little bit, the last thing I remember from last week's episode was that things kind of ended up in chaos and dismay basically. So because of everything that's happened since the season 1 finale, where He Remains is gone, the sacred timeline is unstable, and there's a lot of timelines that have now branched from the sacred timeline that as of right now, like everything that's going on with time itself is really unstable, right? So of course, we also remember that Sylvie also went into hiding, having really accomplished her goal, which was again to take out He Remains, and so that way the branch timelines can go and have their own free will and not be interfered by those at the TVA, all that sort of stuff, right? And we know because with Sylvie herself, she was removed out of her timeline in prison in a sense and couldn't live out her own life. So this is kind of a way to kind of get payback. So after all those events have happened, now from last week's episode, what ended up happening was that half of the TVA decided to do something pretty radical, which was, of course, pruning half those timelines, which means that millions of people have basically been killed as a result of this time, I guess you can say time catastrophe. And so we saw everyone's reaction at the end of that episode. Mobius, Hunter B, 15, Loki, Sylvie, they all saw the destruction of what happened in the timeline. You can see bits and pieces of branches just kind of moving around in waves, just kind of you can just tell that everyone was just really in shock. And then there's Sylvie, of course, where despite the fact of what Loki said earlier, where the TVA is supposed to be defenders, she, she at least, in her sense, she basically counteracts that claim, saying that, that's not really the case. If they were defenders, they wouldn't have killed all these millions of people. So right now, we definitely see the TVA are definitely kind of in a shock state right now because of what happened with the pruning of the timelines itself, the branching of the timelines. Now it's a matter of what's going to happen moving forward. I think that as of this point, we're probably going to be seeing Victor Timely coming up very soon. We know for a fact that Sylvie has that totem or the necklace that He Remains had, so we'll see what she's going to do with it or why she still is in possession of it. Maybe that could be something that will resolve some things. Who knows? But I have a feeling that tonight we're probably going to see Victor Timely show up, since he is the one who understands how time-space continuum works. So that's going to be interesting developments going forward. Again, I think it's been a really decent season so far. We haven't gotten into anything too big as of yet, or where the show is going to, or at least the direction where the show is going to go as we get closer to the final episodes. I mean, right now we're barely halfway through. So, I think that basically recaps everything that we've seen so far with Loki season 2. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into episode 3 of Loki. That's where she's been. Okay. Miss Minutes is right behind you.
What took you so long? He's dead.
What?
This was the plan he made when he knew the end was near for him.
Get back,
shit.
See you. Blend in.
Okay. Better.
Vintage. That's a young Victor Timely. Okay.
And the TVA will be destroyed. And we're all gonna die.
Oh my
That's the
god.
other way.
We can hack into the...
No. We're all gonna die still.
No one's gonna die. There has to
It's gonna be an awkward reunion, face to face with the woman who tried to kill us both.
Or maybe she got out of her system.
1893. The White City. Edison. H.H. Holmes.
Oh, snap.
balloons.
Give this.
So haunt Midway.
What do you call that? Breadcrumb.
That concession stand is a high traffic area. It was necessary.
So we're
and
about to
logical
get to the
do it.
Quantum
So the fact that
Mania
it's tasty is
post-credit
just a bonus.
scene.
But you wouldn't
Very
know 'cause you haven't
soon.
tried yours.
Okay.
It's like different styles. You're a man of action, which is fine. I take a more slow, deliberate, cerebral approach because I see everything.
This has to be a joke.
Odin.
You make it a little
Look.
homesick?
Thor. Oh my
Completely
god.
inaccurate, first of all.
You don't think that looks like Odin?
No one's even heard of him.
Sure they have. Balder the Brave.
Balder.
You know, sometimes I forget that you're one of them. Blows my mind.
Interesting. I wonder why there's Norse mythology.
Thor's not that tall.
Sure.
That can't be a coincidence.
Temporal Marvels. I wonder where they
That's all
got that
fine,
name.
man.
Temporal Marvels. Coincidental?
Would you
I
kindly
think
open
not.
the back?
Unless you want everyone freaking
I think she's here.
Think?
You think?
She does like it.
We're about to see the Quantum Mania post-credit scene.
It.
It's him.
Deja vu.
About the future, boy.
Great question. More than you might think.
Oh, what a comeback.
We go where we are. I mean, does he really look like he's about to conquer all
And
He's got a point.
When the
He might be the most harmless one.
energy of all science is fiction until it's
Yo, that machine is way too advanced for that time.
And who knows what else he can do?
piqued much interest. Ladies and...
Hey, clown, you stepped on my foot.
Clown.
I do apologize.
The amazing Loki, everyone! He'll be here all week!
Amazing Loki. He's now become a magician. I believe that's been quoted before.
Mr. Timely,
Mr. Time,
Oh.
Excuse me.
my associate and I would.
Enlightened fellows never do.
Of course.
Your inventions are fake. Timely.
Excuse me.
Oh, he's a con.
There's a thief in here.
Oh,
Sylvie! Sylvie, no!
Ooh.
You stay out of this.
Just wait for us.
There is no we. Not anymore.
oh no!
Stopping that place from being destroyed and fixed. Where do you think he got that book? If you and the TVA hadn't messed with him, he'd have remained harmless. But instead, you weaponized him. What are you talking? Back into the TVA, the thief of all free will, the most dangerous man who ever lived.
Sylvie, I have never met this man. Right, maybe we should throw him off this Ferris wheel. But we need him.
Look at his face.
The TVA needs him.
I can't let him live.
Shit. You better run. Tension in the room.
This button here controls.
Far from now. A different time.
Star Wars.
A version of you created an entity called the Time Variance Authority. But two variants of the same.
Why aren't the two of you in cahoots with him and his butler?
They can't trust it.
Why not?
Loki helped murder
Will
him.
I have my latest prototype?
Okay, Pack it up.
Prototypes.
Let's go.
That's
It's
all
at
we're
my
gonna
lab
see.
across the
Prototypes.
Lake.
You'll love it. It's like the Caribbean.
Go, go, go.
Lower taxes.
Oh man, this is like classic, like oldie stuff.
mine! Rat back!
I mean, Sylvie's gonna find you, so it's Ravonna. You're staring at her. Yeah.
You.
Yes.
Between myself and the visionary author Ouroboros.
Oh, okay.
Here. It didn't have the technology to make them really work.
That's why they found you.
Oh, happy day.
I'm starting to see the man you'll become.
Looks like she's really into him.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Hopes for this partnership.
It's gonna be more than just a professional partnership. What just happened? What? What?
You heard her, Victor. Partnership. You had to do it. Bye.
Oh, no way. Miss Minutes. Oh, wow, she's that conniving. Oh my god. Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Ravonna got played. She got played. Oh my god. Wow. Miss Minutes. Holy shit.
Let's go.
Now, what's the rush?
Don't we have to get...
Why
to
is Miss Minutes being so freaking
TV
sus today?
I was thinking, with me, that you liked Ravonna better than me.
She's so sus. Why is she so sus?
Is there a sketch of me? And you allow me a real body.
Well, that wasn't me.
Lead together.
Yes, that's something I don't know.
So
how
like a
to
robotic figure?
You never kept me as your thing, your computer, your toy. Instead of what I could have been. Your girl.
Oh,
Victor,
damn.
what are you doing?
What in the
Put
world?
that down. Don't do this. We're a team. You need me. I love you.
Oh my god! That was a bit creepy. Oh my god.
Things are getting quite strange.
Oh. This is a lot for Victor to kind of, you know, trying to acquire. Oh man. That's a lot to comprehend for someone like Victor.
Leaving you behind.
Save. So from now on, I'm the one in charge.
Well, we're going
That's quite a cultural shock.
Look at me.
Oh, she's giving Ripley vibes right now.
Mobius. Who are you to lecture me about losing my way?
We've all lost our way, but someone has to keep.
I'm order.
No.
Oh. Sylvie, did she came to come and rescue everyone as usual? Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe not Victor, but yeah. Oh, he did that hair. Oh, did the hair. Tell me she got a change of heart.
Please.
Get him out of here.
Oh, she had a change of heart. Oh.
Walk through.
Leave her to me.
Time.
Payback.
If you're gonna kill me,
Do 1,000 times. In my mind, each time more brutal than the last.
Damn, ruthless.
It's crippling, that kind of up to you, isn't it?
that's what you want.
A seat at the end of time. Well,
Oh, she sent her there. Okay. Oh, there's he who remains his lifeless body. Oh my god. Oh, it's been disintegrated. Oh shit.
Love you. It was foolish of him to make an enemy out of someone who knows all his secrets. I know a really big one about you. I can tell you, but
But what?
it's gonna make you real angry.
So that was episode 3 of Loki right there. And I have to say, I actually enjoyed this one a lot. I love how, for one thing, it really kind of goes back to kind of like this classic sort of vibe, giving us this like oldie feel to it, going even back to like the late 1800s in that sense. So it's like kind of an era where it's like the pictures and electricity are all just starting to become discovered. But I love how we got that vibe throughout this whole episode, just because that's where Victor Timely's from. And so I love how we kind of had that bit more of that playful sort of energy throughout this episode. I feel like it really fits the whole theme right here, which is one of the things I enjoy about this show, is that because there is so much of that flexibility with how they can go through time, that they can also kind of explore a lot of these like cultural elements. So this is definitely one, of course, where they go back to like the late 1893, when they have that fair in Chicago, the infamous World Fair, and giving us and kind of integrating some of the stuff that happened in real life and bringing in the stuff with the TVA that really kind of fits all of those elements together. So those are some of the things I really enjoyed, like especially in the beginning where we see Victor Timely showing his prototype to the crowd, showing how, because of this prototype that they are able to, use electricity, not just in the city, but beyond, right? Because that's kind of how it worked back then. Like Edison, Tesla, they were in that battle to, who can provide the most electricity. And here it is, like he is talking about something even going beyond that. So lots of like, I love how we're getting a lot of the historical context from here to kind of blending in with like, again, the whole mythos that we're seeing here in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So again, lots of really creative elements that we see in this episode. Again, I think it really kind of fits the whole idea theme. I think I had a lot more fun in this episode than I did with the first two, just because it was a little bit more of that leg room to explore a bit more of like the cultural, social elements of it. So that was just one thing that I wanted to like mention for sure, just because I like this episode a bit more than before. Of course, again, I think one of the reasons why I enjoy this more is because we get to see Victor Timely finally, like the moment the post-credit scene that we saw in Quantumania, that was teased in Quantumania, finally came true in this episode right here. So we start to see more of Victor Timely's purpose, his impact on not what would eventually happen in that timeline, or the fact that he could basically be the successor to He Who Remains, but the fact that he could also be the problem solver for what the TVA is dealing with in terms of the temporal aura, right? So he could actually, so it seems as if after having seen this episode, that the next episode is probably going to focus more on that, trying to fix that temporal aura that they have, or the temporal loam that they need right now to kind of fix the whole instability with the timeline and all like the branches that are happening, how, the temporal aura is going to probably blow. Right now, we all know that the temporal loom is right now unstable. Victor Timely is the only answer to basically fixing that with what appears to be this aura that he has in his possession. So that's gonna be very interesting to see whether or not he can actually solve it. Although I think that's the way that they teased it here in this episode. Like there's that one moment between him and Renslayer where, they were just saying how because he has so much of these ideas that, it can't be executed because of the fact that he doesn't have the technology, which is a very common thing. Like, some of the most greatest minds, they could have done far more things in history. They could have really advanced, technology had it not been for that they were limited with that technology. So I think that the fact that they mentioned that, it's kind of gives us this really eerie feel that, wow, like if, had the technology been available at that time, things could have been far more different, probably even far more futuristic and advanced in ways that we probably wouldn't have seen before, even far more advanced that we see now in today's climate. So again, I really enjoyed some of that. It's great seeing Sylvie's involved, of course. Like, I think this is definitely a bit of a surprise just because of the fact that, what happened in last week's episode, where she's just kind of like, hey, don't get me involved. I mean, this whole TV crap. It's all on you guys. Don't get me involved in it. I mean, just don't, right? And all of a sudden, she just comes up. She swoops back into the whole sort of chaos that's going on. The fact that, of course, Loki, Mobius, Renslayer finding, Victor Timely, one of the variants of He Who Remains, and seeing how, like, she even said, like, she wants to execute any variants that could be of He Who Remains because they could be a threat. So definitely kind of giving up this eerie vibe of, well, we're meeting Victor Timely. He's technically different from He Who Remains, and we know for a fact that Miss Minutes and Renslayer were, basically executing a plan that He Remains had, and that is, of course, the fact that that Victor Timely could be the successor to He Remains. So it's a question of whether or not that's going to end up becoming the case, or will He Remains plans not work out, or not going to plan. So, and I'm really curious about this because, like, for one thing, we all know for a fact that when it comes to the timeline, there's already established sacred timeline. So no matter what anyone does, it's supposed to be within the timeline. And if something does change, it's going to be a branch timeline. And of course, this is where the TVA comes, pulls them out of that timeline because of the fact that they caused this branch, and therefore they want to, fix it, right? So everything is already set up. Like, there's a fixed timeline. Yet here it is, like, we see that He Who Remains, like, even though he is dead, right? He is, gone. The fact that he actually had a plan done in advance, or the fact that he was very proactive about it, like, it definitely raises a question of how much he knows about the future, how much of what's going on has already been pre-established as a result of the fact that He Remains has already set up a timeline. So lots of things to really kind of think about because of the fact that we kind of have all these established rules of how time space continuum works, the way that it functions, how this has been explained in season 1. And of course, right now what's going on is the fact that something was broken, or something broke that system, and as a result of that, like, right now everything that's going on with the TVA, with the timeline and the sacred time and the branching, it's all as a result of the fact that He Remains is not there to be the gatekeeper of that. Yet the fact that even He Remains, considering the fact that he's still not around, like, the fact that he planned this definitely is like, okay, well, will Victor Timely be the answer to the TVA to fix the temporal loom and use that temporal aura to fix it? Or the fact that, it might just be a short-term thing, or it's just something that will fix it in, like, a relatively short moment, and there's probably something far more dire in the future. Definitely a lot of questions going into that, knowing that, Victor Timely is now finally introduced in the show, because again, we already saw him back in the Quantum Man post-credit scene, but here it's like, okay, now he has been far more established, now we've actually met him, that we kind of get a grasp of who he is as a person. Like, will he be the person that he says he is, or are we going to see something a bit more serious that could be very consequential in the future? I think that's going to be a lot of questions going to the show as we get closer and closer to kind of more of, like, the storytelling of Loki season 2. But I think that's something to kind of really think about. Like, I mean, right now, of course, the TVA, what is right now in the TVA's mind is to fix the temporal loom, right? Because right now, if that is not stabilized, then it could cause catastrophe for the TVA. It could literally even be catastrophic for even the timeline. Because for all we know, if the TVA is gone, then all of time-space continuum is probably going to be gone, right? And that's the last thing that they want. So that's probably going to be the focus of next week's episode, like how much of, how much Victor Timely is able to, invest in himself to really figure out and fix the temporal loom in ways that, that could be the answer for Loki, the TV, and everyone. But then it's a question of what's going to happen afterwards. Of course, the way that the episode ended is the question of, okay, what is the secret that Miss Minutes is implying? Because apparently there's a secret. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we already know what Renslayer's life was in the actual sacred timeline. I think, what was it? She was just having a normal life. I believe she's like a teacher or something, or a principal. So we already know that. But the question of the matter is, what is the secret that Miss Minutes is kind of alluding to? So that's gonna be a big question, of course, that the fact that they just ended off like that, like, why is she saying this? Why is this going to be very, significant moving forward in the future episodes? Just because, again, like, the fact that she kind of made that eerie suggestion is just like, okay, what is going on? What is up? What is Miss Minutes up to? The fact that, again, we get to see Miss Minutes back, of course, is great, but also just seeing a bit more of her darker side. Wow. Who would have thought that Miss Minutes was that dark of a person? Or the fact that she's a bit of a creep, knowing the fact that she is that of, I guess you can say a bit, I wouldn't say obsessive, but very kind of, I guess you can say, weird in the fact that she thinks about how He Who Remains could have done more with her. How she could have been his girlfriend or something. I mean, very interesting developments for a sentient, but that was definitely a very interesting twist right there, just to see Miss Minutes' darker side, kind of in a more, kind of leaning a bit on the obsessive bit, but yeah, I think with everything we've seen so far, we're definitely starting to see a lot more progress in the storytelling and where things are going to go. I think the story is finally starting to kind of elevate a little bit more comparison to the first two episodes. The first episode, I still think we're good. There again, it's kind of bringing back a whole circular storytelling, trying to end off like some of them, the minuscule stuff in terms of like the subplots and everything, and then kind of building it into like the main storyline that's going to carry on from the beginning to the end. And this one does a really good job here too. Like, everything kind of came together very well. Pacing was actually pretty good. I think the tone of it was really playful, but also kind of like, yeah, there's like a lot of things that we got to be concerned about. And then of course giving us like a bit more of something to look forward to for the next episode, and kind of think about, okay, well, now that we've met Victor Timely, now that we've seen Renslayer and what she was doing and what Miss Minutes was doing and what this means for Loki and TVA Mobius, that, okay, what's going to be the next move going forward. So I think overall I enjoyed this episode. I think I enjoyed it more than the first two episodes, just because there's a lot more development in like the main arc and really kind of jumping into the big stuff. So and again, as I said before, it doesn't take away the fact that the first episodes weren't that good. They were good. I think this one just really was kind of a bit of a build up, kind of giving us a bit more of that juice to really kind of kick off things moving forward with the storytelling. So I think that's all to say about Loki episode 3. I think I already covered everything I need to say. I think there's a lot of great developments going to the story, and I can't wait to see episode 4 and how whether or not Victor Timely is able to fix the temporal loom. But what are your thoughts about having seen episode 3 tonight? What do you think about the whole atmosphere and the vibes of going back to the 1890s, kind of integrating a bit more of that cultural element into the episode? Do you think you had a lot more fun, or maybe you just felt like it kind of took away the tone of the series? I mean, I thought it was fun, but maybe you kind of have different thoughts about it. What do you think about the fact that Miss Minutes has alluded to the fact that there is a big secret that's concerning Renslayer? What could it be? What could this imply? How this is going to be very consequential for the future? What about Sylvie? Knowing the fact that Sylvie had a change of heart. I mean, the fact that, she could have killed him, yet allowed him to go. Like, what does this mean moving forward? Are we going to start to see a much different Sylvie as we get more and more into these episodes? Someone who can actually become a very important ally, which I feel like is going to become the case at some point because of what happened in episode 1. What do you think is going to be happening moving forward? What do you think about Victor Timely? Do you think you can trust him? Do you think that there's something a bit more eerie that we have yet to really spot? Is he going to be someone who can actually fix that temporal loom? And if so, what will happen next? Like, is he going to be a very integral character moving forward, or is there going to be something else going on? Will He Who Remains plan actually go out as planned? Like, is Victor Timely going to be the successor to He Who Remains, or he's going to be someone very different? Maybe he could be the answer to solving a lot of the issues going on, and maybe he could be the way to kind of bring some balance into the whole Kang situation and still allow the TVA to operate in a way that has a bit more of a free will. Let me know what your thoughts are with anything else that we've seen so far in the developments of Loki and what's going to happen moving forward, and any other theories and predictions. Let me know in the let me know your comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.